That's an intro. That's an intro.
Man, I have skills on top of skills like that I just don't take full advantage of. Let's go, man.
Great day, great Sunday. You talked about skills. Luka Doncic, best player in the world, proving it day in, day out. Karl Anthony Towns, the playoff dropper we all know and love. And Anthony Edwards hype. All the Anthony Edwards truthers or hypers. He's Michael Jordan. He's D Wade in 06. Putting him in conversation he did not deserve to be in. His game still has a lot of work. I understand he's 22, but people are talking like he was going to make an all-time great one. Stop it. Being exposed. Love to see it. Great Sunday.
Now hold on a minute. You said a lot there, but I'm going to start with the thing you ended with.
Gotcha.
Anthony Edwards, because you touched on, well, he's only 22.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to compare him to anybody else at 22? Because what he's doing is pretty substantial in comparison to other 22-year-olds. Let's not compare him to what guys did at 24 and 27 and et cetera in their primes.
Yep.
At 22 is still pretty impressive. And he played, listen, the first two games of the series, I grant you, he looked exhausted trying to keep up with Kyrie Irving, which I think anyone would do. But he looked good. He looked good tonight. He looked great tonight.
Whoa. What did say great? First half was slow. He was all right.
Listen, holistically, you can always pick.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I look at it as a whole. He looked right. Like he looked good. A significantly better maybe than games 1 and 2.
Yep, I'll give it 100%. I like that he was actually attacking the basket a lot more, not shooting the three because the three ball just hasn't been there for him this series. That's aggressive. I like that. But like you said, for 22 years old and what he's doing, 100% phenomenal. But the conversations people were putting in him, like this run being compared to Wade in 06, some of Jordan's runs to the finals and winning championships, some of the LeBron's runs to the finals.
Jordan didn't go to the finals at 22.
I hear you, but Jordan also never had a team like this at 22.
He did not. That's correct. But that's true. That's true.
Yeah, like I mean, look, Jordan at 22, I understand. I mean,
but some people will say he didn't have to face teams like this at 22 either. Although we know he did, but
I was gonna say he did.
I said some people. Some people are crazy. I want to get into a shot chucker conversation with you later. But okay, so Anthony Edwards at 22, you're right. But it's interesting because everybody was anointing him way too fast. Are you not doing that with Luka? Luka still hasn't won anything.
But to me, hold on. But me, the whole winning thing, I don't value too much.
Player in the world, just like that.
No, I'll say this: I've been on the Luka best player in the world for a couple of years now. I was always, whenever they asked me, whenever people asked me, it was like, I think Luka's the best player in the world. When they asked me to rank, I put Jokic ahead of him, last year, just because the way he performed in the biggest moments. It's almost like I had to. But I would say I think Luka is the best player in the world. His playoff performances were all time, and people don't realize this is his worst playoff that he's having in his career. Every other playoff that he had, he's played better because of his injury a little bit, slowing him down. And even though now he's winning more.
When you say worse, you mean statistically worse, because statistically doesn't necessarily mean worst.
No, 100. So even like his shooting is down. Like I'm sure that is statistically. I still think he played better in previous playoff series. Now defensively, he's definitely kind of stepped up a little more. He doesn't take as many plays off, you could say, even though he's hurt.
No, but I feel like I've seen him play defense.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is that in itself. Listen, defense is two parts to it. One part that people don't understand is skill, right? Like you have to have, there's a skill set, understanding footwork, positioning, your hands, all that kind of, there's a skill to defense. The second part is effort. Some people will never have the skill to play defense, but you can always have the effort. And that when I say like Jokic, when I certain times in the past when I said he doesn't play defense, Doncic doesn't play defense, LeBron doesn't play. Whoever I said in that moment, it had nothing to do with their skill set. It had to do with their effort, right? Like when you see them standing there. and the play goes by them. Like, I'm sorry, you even make a fake step.
I hear you. 100%. Just do something. Right? I hear you.
Do something. So yeah, so I feel like he's, but best, and you think best player in the world. You don't care that it's only on the offensive end.
Yeah. So the whole offense defense thing, right? I don't think in terms of especially basketball today, how offense and defense contribute to winning. I don't think it's 50-50. I do think a great offensive player gives more value to a team than a great defensive player. And I think it's more in the lines of, I still go back and forth of, it's not 50-50, but also not 80-20. I just don't know if I'm buying it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Out of 10, how would you rank his offense?
The best in the league. So 10, and the league is the best.
10? Okay, 10. How would you rank his defense?
Defense.
Be fair.
Yeah. 4.
That high? 4 or 5?
Yeah, I still give him 4. Yeah, I don't think he's much of a
okay.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
So let's go 4. Let's go 4 because I think he's a below average. So I'm going to force you on the 4 because you said 4 or 5. So if he is a 10 on offense and a 4 on defense, that's a total of 14.
Yep.
I'm just going to throw out a name. Giannis. Where do you rank his offense?
Offense is probably at a 7.
Where do you rank his defense?
Defense is probably at a 8.
That's 15. That's more than him.
But the thing is, I don't value. So you see how you gave both them the bunch of 10?
Oh, I see. So you weight offense.
Exactly.
More.
Exactly.
So even though you rank his offense, okay, so even though his total might be better because of his 10 on offense, which 10 seems, I don't think anyone's perfect. So I would never be able to give.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Yeah, just as scale, if he's a 10, then the Jokic is a 9, and people.
So you're saying kind of like he's a 10 on offense, a 4 on defense, but it's like offense is times 2, so it's 24.
Exactly.
And Giannis would be whatever you said, 7. So 14 plus 8, 22. Yeah. And that's right. Okay. I'm just trying to make it simple for some of the simpletons in the world. Okay. Is it safe to say we have our finals matchup?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if any of these teams blow these leads, we're gonna have a whole different conversation when it comes to these players and teams. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be in Boston. I'm
gonna admit, I've been doubting Dallas in every round. I doubted them in the first round, even though I hate the Buffalo Braves. I said this is probably the year that they get they'll go on a little bit of a run. They're not going to go to the finals or anything. I had said I had Minnesota going. I knew it was going to be an underdog this year. I knew Denver was not going to make it because everyone laughed at me all season long when I said the loss of green and brown, all the colors. It's going to, and then having the target on your back. It's really, really tough. That's why I give people who repeat so much credit because it is very, very difficult. That being said, so I thought they were going to lose to the Braves. They beat the Braves. I thought they were going to lose to OKC because even though OKC was young, that team seemed like it had a lot more. The funny part is, before I say this round, at the trade deadline, when they picked up
PJ and Gafford,
I said that was phenomenal for this team. I was higher on Gafford than PJ, but PJ's turned out to be, and actually Lively.
Lively spins.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was he like? 14 of 14. Everything's an alley.
Yeah. In terms of value in the draft and how he's contributing, especially as a rookie, like he's right up there.
It's insane. But I thought Gafford was going to be the big one. Even before the trade, I said Dallas should get a guy like Gafford. That's who they should be. So when they got Gafford and Washington, and now the emergence of Lively, it's a whole new dynamic. Do you know who the number 1 ranked defense in the NBA is over the last 20 games of the regular season?
Dallas. Yeah, that defense has been.
They were one of the worst defensive teams. They were one of the worst rebounding teams. They became the best defensive, one of the best rebounding teams. You add that to Kyrie playing like what we expected Kyrie to be.
Kyrie playing like it's 2016 again. Playing like it's 2016 again. 100%.
We expected to see.
100%.
So I doubted them against, and I say Buffalo Braves is the Clippers for those that don't know. Yeah. I doubted them against Buffalo. I doubted them against OKC. I 100% doubted them against Minnesota because Minnesota just finished beating the defending champs, and because I had Minnesota going to the final, so I wanted to be right. The one thing that bothered me after Minnesota beat Denver they celebrated like they'd won something.
Oh yeah.
And Mrs. Fluent, who, as you know, is a basketball aficionado, looked at me and gave me my favorite quote, right, tongue in cheek, and went, "Job finished? Job not finished?"
It's true.
And I went, "Yeah, I kind of don't like that," but I said, "They'll be fine. They'll be fine." They're not fine. They're not fine. This team is not like a young OKC team that can say it's okay. This was our learning curve, right? Like,
Rudy Gobert's not that young. Cat,
like
Mike Conley,
Ant is young, but Conley is not young for sure. Gobert is not young by NBA standards. Cat is not young. Like, this isn't a young. I think the average age with OKC is 23. These guys aren't that. I think they're not only. I think their window just closed that quick.
I'm not mad at that because Conley and Gobert are big pieces. I mean, Cat's still late 20s.
Yeah, sure. But how are you going to replace the
Gobert and Conley? That's tough.
The 4-time defensive player of the year, who although does get exposed out on the perimeter, but
still, yeah.
So would Dikembe Mutombo, so would Ben Wallace. They would all get exposed on the perimeter against these guys. I think Luka's shooting that same shot that he shot over Gobert over any of those guys.
You can't stop a step back three. You just hope they miss. Like the step back three.
Not from a guy who's legit 6'10".
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Right, like they lie and say he's 6'8", 6'9". No, he's not.
I saw that picture of him next to Cat. I'm like, yeah, he's definitely taller. Yeah.
So yeah, no one's stopping it. But I think it closed. I think they're done. And now I almost want to bet against Dallas again so that they'll beat Boston. Because I'm scared if I start now jump on their bandwagon.
The Boston matchup tough. It's so tough with Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. No, Porzingis definitely gives Dallas,
that helps them because you're going to have Gafford and Washington and lively on the boards, especially the offensive boards. I think that'll hurt. Can Drew Holiday's listen? He's about to get a test. It's one thing. It's one thing to strip Naismith.
Yeah, but these boys.
It's another thing to go up against Kyrie.
Yeah, an offense like this, like I take it back to the LeBron Kyrie thing. When you have an offense where it just seems like two guys taking turns, finding spots for their teammates, doing their thing. It's almost like there's only so much a defense can do. You know what I mean? You know when they say great offense versus great defense? I just think great offense when it comes to players like that oftentimes wins. But it's also just like you're so dependent on them that one off night and that game can go completely off the rails by a Kyrie or a Luka, right? So they just have to bring it every single night, creating, scoring, do it all. And again, it could definitely happen 4 games out of 7, but it's just such a big ask. Boston's still a more well-rounded team throughout, but hey, that Dallas defense might be an interesting test for Boston too. That's another thing that I want to see how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum kind of react to these guys, because they've been doing their thing against Ann and Kat. I mean, those same guys are going to be guarding Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So I'll be interested in seeing what they can do, because if Jason Tatum has a bad finals, it could be rough for Boston.
I don't think Jason Tatum's that guy.
I've been hearing a lot of that. Some people don't think he's a number one.
I've always said that. Jermaine, aka Chill, is super high on Tatum.
He's the Tatum guy.
He keeps telling me next year, MVP, next year. And I'm like, I think this is who he is, which is a great player, but not the greatest player.
So they have 2 number 2s on their team, or 2 and a 3?
I think they have 2 number 2s. I think 2 number. I think like he's definitely a 2. Like if he is next to a legit 1, Tatum, great. And same with Brown. I think Brown too. I think they're both good enough to lead a team into the playoffs. I don't think either one is good enough to lead a team to be together. I'm saying to separate them. I think they're both good enough to lead a team as the number 1 into the playoffs, but not into a deep, finals run or to be a finals champion.
Even with the amazingly built team together.
Yeah, I think together. Now, listen, Boston has the best roster in the league. So I think together with Holiday, with White, with Porzingis, as when they're all healthy, I think together. Right. Last year's team was good enough to go to the finals. This year's team is good enough to win with everybody healthy. But I don't think it's because Tatum's the 1 and Brown's the 2 and whatever. I think they're just I'm not going to compare him to like the 04 Pistons. Like they're not that
not that
lacking of superstars. But I still think it's the collective. I just think that's and again, it's not a knock on Tatum because people are going to start coming after me. I'm like, no. I think this is who he is. Like, don't expect him to he's going to be inconsistent.
You have top 10 player in the league?
I think, yeah, I do. Yeah, he's top 10 in the league, and I know it's weird to hear that.
Yeah,
but I only have 3 or 4 superstars in the league.
So there's only 3 or 4 guys in the league that can lead a team to a championship.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who are those 3 or 4? I mean, I'd say Luka, Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid.
No, not Embiid. Well, Embiid has shown us he can't do it. The
injuries, like he's been unlucky.
Listen, injuries are part of your legacy. They're part of who you are. Like Kawhi, sure, if healthy, he's good enough to lead a team to a championship. But he's never healthy, so it eliminates him. Embiid hasn't shown us he can do it, so I'm not going to give him that status. I will say Jokic showed us without an all-star, as great as Jamal can be. He's not an all-star. He's not an all-NBA player consistently enough. Again, partially due to injuries, but he's not. So he led that team. So he's good enough to do it. Luka is showing us he might be able to do it. Now, he's got a legit, like solid, like the best number 2 he's ever had. Because I had said previously, if they don't get him some help, he's leaving. Kyrie was a risk, but it might be high risk, high reward, because this was their first full season together, and it looks pretty good. And then after that, I start to after those 2.
Oh, Giannis is still.
Is he though?
Yeah, I mean, Giannis again. This season he got they got lucky with him and Lillard getting hurt.
People who can still do it, right? Like Giannis did it, right? But LeBron did it, but it doesn't mean LeBron can still do it, right? Like that. I'm saying that can do it moving forward. That's why I say every year there's 3 to 4. There's 3 to 4. So is Tatum top 10? Yes. Is he great? Absolutely. All NBA, 100%. All-time great, Hall of Famer, all of those things. Yes. What my point is, I don't think you're going to see that. Everyone's waiting for him to be like, take over the league, right? I don't think he does it. I think the next person isn't Tatum. I think someone else is going to take, the mantle, the torch, whatever you want to call it.
I think Luka's run for the next few years.
It's probably Luka. Looks like, right? Who knows, right? But the next one after LeBron, right? Because we always look for, it was Magic and Bird, and then it was Jordan, and then it was Kobe. Like, yes, there's other guys too. Like, I'm not disrespecting Shaq or Tim Duncan or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? Like that face, that best player, not always the one who wins the MVP, whatever, just the best.
Kobe was ever that unanimous? Obviously, the league kind of hesitated because of his situation off the court to fully embrace him and push him.
As a player only, yeah, he was the best player. Absolutely. But
what
again,
years?
Politics.
I'm not sure what years, because the Shaq, Duncan, they're KG, like they were right there.
They were right there. Yeah. But when you look at total package of offense, defense, mentality, all of that stuff, Kobe, I'd say from the early 2000s to when LeBron took it over and what?
Oh, hold on. Shaq. Kobe was not the best player in 2000, 2002.
No, I said the early 2000s, not so like, yeah, not Shaq. After that second chip, I think that's when he started to get better and lazy.
To me, the best version of Kobe, is 03 Kobe. I think that's when the offense, defense, that's peak Kobe. Like, people want to talk about 08, 09. Like that Kobe's great, but I promise you that defense is nowhere close to 03 Kobe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So Shaq's run was short, but that was more because he was like, he said it himself. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't want to practice. Because I was taking a beating in every game. Everyone was, banging on me. So I was like, okay, that's fair. But that's why I say that's why you saw the decline, because a guy of that size, you can't let yourself go. You can't.
KG Duncan from like 03 to 05.
So KG good.
Was
so good. So good. Yeah, I don't think KG gets anywhere near the amount of love that he should get, but it was because he was, when I say on a bad team, he was on Minnesota.
That roster was not constructed. If you maximize him, it's just like,
listen, if the trade goes through and he goes to LA, instead of Powell. Like, dude, we're probably having a different conversation about both Kobe and KG. If he gets drafted by a different team, like there's a million things that could part of it is just luck of who you're with. So
right or wrong, those are the things I try to eliminate and just try to look at the player accounting for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
but when you look at Tim Duncan, it's so difficult to judge him because by all accounts, he's a top 5 player all time. All time.
I have him 6th.
Greatest power forward ever.
Yeah.
No, even though he played center more years than he played power forward, whatever. Because people are going to say that. However, he also had a luxury that, not like KG, as an example, didn't have. KG didn't get to come in next to David Robinson. And let's be very, very clear. Because people say, well, Tim Duncan was the first overall pick and the team sucked. No, they didn't. Because that team that sucked, David Robinson didn't play. He was injured. Sean Elliott wasn't there. He was there the year before. And guess who else was there? David Robinson. And guess what? They won like 56, 57 something.
They were a 50-win team. He got hurt. They got that draft pick.
But not 50. Yeah. They were like mid 50s. Like I said, I think it was 56, 57. So now you lose David Robinson and Sean Elliott. I forget where he goes. But then, so he's hurt. They get the first overall draft. David Robinson now comes back healthy. And people forget how good Sean Elliott was, by the way. Go watch. He was phenomenal. Who else was on a team like Vinny Del Negro, Avery Johnson? Like, that's a good team. As David Robinson starts to age, they're getting Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Later down the road, Kawhi Leonard. Now, although Kawhi Leonard wasn't the offensive player, he was still the defensive player, right? Like, you saw your boy when he checked into the game, like, right? Like, he was a problem. So he had, and, let me just throw in there, probably one of who I think is actually the greatest coach of all time, Greg Popovich.
Yeah, I think greatest coach.
So, and okay, if you don't agree, one of the greatest coaches of all time. So he was very, very fortunate. So there's just certain scenarios that it's tough to say, was he better than Kobe? It's hard because like, what would he have done on a team with Smush Parker, Luke Walton, Mim, Kwame Brown, right? Coached by,
I will say the 03 run that he had, this was before like Tony Parker was Tony Parker, before Manu was Manu, David Robinson, his last legs. That was an impressive run. I still think that run was super impressive. But I hear you. I always go back and forth with the Kobe Duncan thing. Like, to me, like, again, I have Kobe 5, Duncan 6. Some days I switch them. It's literally just.
I think that's the same place I have them both too. Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah. I struggle with. There's ones I struggle with all the time. I don't like Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic. I think is set for me. I struggle then with Kobe, Duncan, Bird. I struggle with Shaq and Hakeem so much, much, because Shaq way more dominant.
Yeah,
but Hakeem gave him fits. So it's not like Hakeem struggled with him. Hakeem gave him fits. Hakeem was a better shooter, a better passer, a better defender, a better shot blocker, better with steals, like just better defensively.
You go off like those skills, yeah.
And then it's like, man, it's so like, he won 2 chips with who? Nobody.
Those are impressive.
Right? Shaq won with Kobe and the greatest version of Dwayne Wade we've ever seen. And I'm like, and again, not knocking Shaq for having those great teammates, good for you, but it's just like those two. I find like if you ask me on Tuesday, it'll be Shaq, Hakeem. If you ask me on Thursday, it might be Hakeem.
See, I'm right there with you in terms of I have my guys, but I just switch Shaq with Magic. So my core 4 at the top is LeBron, Jordan, Shaq, Kareem. Those are my 4. I have those 4 guys. After that, Kobe, Duncan. And then, like you mentioned, and then I got the
then it gets
Hakeem, Bird. Yeah, it just gets tricky. Even then, like I was having another conversation. I was like, KG versus Bird. I'm just thinking, I'm like, they can go like the skill for skill to break it down. Like, there's a world where KG I could put ahead of Bird. I'm just like, do I really doing that? Like, I don't know. When I watch him play fluent, I don't know, man. I can go into the playoff series with Sam Cassell. He was playing point guard fluent. Point guard KG when big men weren't doing that then. Like, they weren't doing that.
Oh, no. KG would be even better in today's NBA.
100%.
He absolutely had that skill set. But I also think Bird would be better in today's NBA too. Like, just imagine Luka with, let's be honest, better shooter, more effort defensively, not a better defender, more effort defensively, and I think a smarter player, and a better rebounder. Like, that's tough. That I think, but again, that's in today's league. But yeah, so that's that Bird. I struggle with Bird a lot because I've had Bird anywhere from 5 to 11.
I hear you. He's a tricky one too. Playing on, well, I think the '86 Boston team may be the greatest. Some people say the greatest team ever. You know what I mean? There's that.
He had. So listen, that's the thing.
I just think Luka is like noticeably more athletic than Bird, though. Like, I know Luka is slower.
No.
Maybe just go watch him side by side or something. But I feel like Luka is still noticeably.
What version of Bird did you watch?
I mean, those 80s, 86, 85.
I think you don't. Luka's a lot like Bird in the sense that you think they're slow, but Bird specifically, Bird was skinnier before the back injuries, right? If you go back watch early 80s, he could get by you on that first step. He's not lightning quick, but he was smart. There wasn't like, there's this breakdown, and we're getting way off topic, but there was this breakdown where Kobe is breaking down Tatum's game. And he goes, okay, watch Tatum here. He gets it on the wing at the 3-point line. His left toe, this is why I love Kobe, by the way. His left toe is pointed out to half court. So he goes, so unless you're going to half court, he goes, it's all wrong. And it shows him, look, because he catches it this way, his toe is pointed, and I'm getting somewhere with this. His toe is pointing to half court. Look at the way he's now got to loop around the defender because his body has to go that way because his toe is pointed there. He loops around, and it takes him a long time, and he doesn't get an open shot. He goes, if that left toe is pointed in towards the foul line, boom, that first step cuts, and now he's wide open. Boom, there's his mid-range jumper, and it's there. The reason I bring that up, and he goes and shows 3 or 4 plays similar where Tatum is having to kind of scoop around because of that footwork. Then you look at Bird. Nope, that toe was there, and he took a one step, and he was either by you, or if you dropped off, he just stopped and pop, and he was making it because he told you, hey, if you step backwards, I'm going to shoot it over you, and he would do that. So I think
the early '80s too.
There's a thing about whether you're like the speed versus quickness, and I think quickness comes from footwork and like Jordan. They used to talk about Jordan like he was a panther, and I was like, are you guys nuts? Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, he has no weight. If you watch his footwork, there's no wasted steps. Whereas today you'll see a lot of guys who aren't fundamentally sound, they got to take 4 steps to get somewhere. No, dude, you'd be like, he knew exactly where he was going. It was like boom, boom, and he was there.
Played his angles right. I know what you mean. No,
his angles, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's where Bird has the quickness over Luka, where Luka might be more athletic. Maybe.
I just want to say to Bird in the early '80s, I want to say the first 4 or 5 years in the league, I think he was noticeably better than Magic Johnson. I just think the back situation happened, and then I think they got closer. But I think Bird at his best was better than Magic at his best.
Bird to start in the '80s was better, but what made him better was his shooting, because Magic came into the league and wasn't a shooter. And then we had the tragic Magic incident, and he was like, dude, I got to work on this. And if you look at Magic then after kind of the mid 80s, it helps that Bird has the back injury, because then he becomes better than Bird, but he also becomes a much better shooter. Like there was a time when you're like, nah, don't shoot, bro. And then like down the road, you say, oh, okay, yeah, he could shoot the ball. But he worked really, really hard on that. And it was weird that he couldn't shoot, because he was like a 90% free throw shooter, which means like you have good form, you know how to shoot. If you can hit free throws, typically, very rarely, or typically, if you see guys that can't shoot jumpers, they're not that great from the line. And if you see guys that are, 89, 90% from the free throw line, they're typically pretty good shooters. Not always great, but they're pretty good, especially from the mid-range. Dude could not shoot. Like, I was like, dude, just stop and shoot it like a free throw, because I don't get it. But anyways, so we got Dallas in the finals, right? We all agree 3-0, they're in. Boston, I think we all agree. Let's stop and, give our salute to the Indiana Pacers, who fought hard. They tried. Pascal Siakam played really well.
There were a couple players from being up 2-1. There were maybe a Rick Carlisle timeout, a Jalen Brown missed 3. I mean, this series is 3-0, but you watch these games.
I think they're a foul an intentional foul away from being at least 2-1 because when you're up 3, foul them. Make it a free throw shooting contest, dummy. Like, that just drives me that's the one thing.
He's a great coach. That's the problem. He's a great coach. He's not been making a mistake. There's no way Rick Carlisle should be making that mistake.
No, it's his philosophy. He refuses to do it. He refuses to do it. So that's
is it one of those things where, like, if it worked out, no, we don't talk about it, but since it didn't work out, it's more focused on?
Me personally, I would still say I wish he would have fouled. He's lucky it worked out for him.
Gotcha.
He's lucky it worked out for him. Like, I'm not going to change the way I think or what analytics tell me because it worked, right? Like, if I look at football, it's like, oh, dude, why'd you go for it on 4th and 27? Like, that's a stupid play. Oh, you got 30 yards. Cool. It worked. That's still not the right play. You know what I mean? Like, the right, I'm going to pick on your boy for a second. The right basketball play isn't always the right basketball play, right?
I hear you.
So Braun is like, well, that was the right basketball to play to pass it to, John Smith and let him shoot. And it's like, no, it's not the right basketball play because Joe Schmo is not the greatest or one of the greatest players of all time. I want you shooting that ball because you're that person. They're not the one who's built to do that under pressure. So I'm not saying it's always wrong. It's not, but in certain situations, it's like the right basketball play isn't always the right basketball play. The right football play isn't always it's also not the wrong one, right? Like you said, if they don't foul, if Jaylen Brown doesn't hit that crazy corner 3 with Siakam, right up on him, we're saying, hey, good call. But I'd still say, no, they should have fouled him, make it a free. Like, I feel that's the safer way to win. Because guess what? What did Boston do in that same game?
Did they foul? They fouled them?
As they were up 3, 5, 8, they were fouling them and saying, okay, let's shoot free throws because we don't think you're going to make 3 more than we are if we're playing this foul game. And they built up a lead because of it. So it's stubbornness in coaching's tough. It's tough. Like, this is what got us there. So, okay. So we got Boston. Oh, sorry. So we're saying goodbye to Indiana. Siakam, we talked about 2 weeks ago. We talked about the Siakam, OG Anunoby. Unfortunately, that because of injuries didn't really become as good of a thing as we thought. But Indiana beats New York. Luckily, too, because this series would have been over in 3. If New York with all their injuries. So the Pacers are gone. Does Siakam, and we'll get to the finals matchup. Does Siakam stay in Indiana?
I mean, I don't really know Siakam's, but I think he said that he would, consider staying here long term after the trade. With the success they've had, getting to Eastern Conference Finals, playing with a guy like Halliburton, I could definitely see him there. I just don't know how he enjoys Indiana. I think that's the only reason why maybe he might want to move. Maybe he enjoys being somewhere else. But in terms of basketball, playing with Halliburton against success they've had, he might be okay signing a contract there, and he'll get paid.
Okay. Yeah. So if you had to put money on it?
If I put money on it, I'd probably say you bet he stays. But it's literally like a 55-45. I'm not confident of it, but I'm going to edge it to him staying.
OG in New York?
OG in New York. People say they love playing in New York. Got to start with Jalen Brunson. That team is almost what could have been just because of the injury situation. So, yeah, I think he stays there. I think he stays there, too.
Bonus question. LeBron in LA.
Yes, I saw that. He's a free agent. LeBron in LA. Does he want to go to a new team at 39, 40? Unless that team is perfectly constructed or, is a team that he really feels can be over the top. I think he stays, but I'm trying to think. I think he enjoys the big markets. He enjoys the lights. So New York would be an option, but I don't know if he wants to go to New York I don't know if that team he thinks is as good as even his LA team. It'd be interesting. Cleveland, obviously he was there courtside. People brought that up. Interesting if Mitchell was there. Him, Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Allen, if Garland is still there, would be interesting if he ever decided to go back to Cleveland. I don't know if he wants to do that. Move the family back to Cleveland after going to LA. I think he stays. I do think he stays. Anthony Davis is still there. Look good. I just think he likes. It's LA. People like living in LA. You know, love or hate the Lakers. Everyone loves living in LA.
I think he should go to Washington. Just him, nobody else. Just him, nobody else. Keep the roster exactly the same way that it is. Go to Washington. Just you. Don't bring a friend along. Don't change the roster at all. And if he leads them to the playoffs, just the playoffs, I'll call him the GOAT. All right.
I do think one thing I wish he got to play for Pop. I just want to wonder how that would have worked. Would have been cool.
I don't think he can play for Pop.
People say that because he is the system, one of the system. But I just think that there's a level of respect.
No, I don't think he's. Listen, the one time he had a good I don't think anyone understands how good of a coach David Blatt was.
Oh, but you know what? I'm a big David Blatt guy. No, I think
and he couldn't take that being told this is what you need to. That really, for me, is I don't want to go off on a GOAT debate topic here, but that's really the difference. Why I have him 2 and not 1 is Jordan found a way to say okay to playing in a system that took the ball out of his hands and took all his stats dropped, and eventually he bought into. I don't think he bought into it initially. I think eventually he bought into it because if you think about it, so they bring in Doug Collins. I don't know if you know this. Doug Collins had absolutely zero coaching experience. Okay. Not in high school, not college, nothing. He was a player, then an analyst, and they popped him in there. And his he always jokes that his offensive strategy was, just give the ball to Mike and get the F out of the way. That was his thing. So now they they promote Phil and Text. Really, they were kind of a tandem. And it's, hey, we're taking the ball out of your hands. Your scoring is going to go down. Your assists are going to go down because people forget he averaged 30 something and 35, I think, and 8 assists. Like he 8 assists a game is pretty good for your shooting guard. That was first season, by the way, not first stretch. And is, hey, we're going to take it out of your hands. Well, with the last year of Doug Collins, do you know when they lost?
When they lose?
Eastern Conference Finals against the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, okay. The last year for Doug Collins this season when he was coach.
Yeah. They bring in Phil Jackson. Do you know when they lose?
Eastern Conference Finals again?
Eastern Conference Finals against Boston. Boston.
Against Detroit.
Detroit. So you brought in this new coach and new system, and we did the exact same thing. We lost to the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. He easily could have been like other players who said, you know what, dude, out. And let's remember, that's year 6. Years 1, 2, and 3, different coaches every single time. So by year 6, he's now on his 4th coach. So it wouldn't be crazy for them to say, hey, you brought in this new coach. His system didn't work. My numbers are down. And we still lost to Detroit. You need to bring in someone else who can help us get by Detroit. He could have. They didn't. And luckily for everybody, legacies were born and created because of it. But that's my thing is with Braun, he wouldn't let young players develop, right? Like I think Andrew Wiggins would be a completely different player if Cleveland keeps that draft pick of Andrew Wiggins and they don't trade it for Kevin Love. I think
I think he could have been that kind of Pippen to Jordan type of dynamic.
Playing along, if your backcourt, your 1, 2, 3 is Kyrie, Wiggins, LeBron, you have maybe the best combination of skill set and athleticism. And the 3 of them, I think, it doesn't matter who you have at the power forward and center.
That's even he was in year 10 or 11, I think, at that time. But even Jordan, with that time, he didn't want to rebuild after a certain.
Well, but that's because he got his guy in year 4, and people now in year 4 though he let him develop because again people forget Horace Grant and Pippen were coming off the bench scoring 7 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think LeBron, if he got Wiggins in year 4, he'd be cool going with him. But when you're in year 11 and you got a rookie and try to win now, it's just a different situation.
I don't think so because there's nothing to prove that would have been the case. Like there's no draft pick that was just
hey, he never got the opportunity to show if that would have been true.
It never did, right? And so we're not gonna young players develop. I'm not gonna give a coach an opportunity really. Like, just don't even forget when he went to Cleveland, they wanted Pat Riley to coach. He didn't want Eric Spoelstra.
Miami. Yeah, he wanted Pat Riley.
He wanted Pat. Now, Pat has a track record. I get it, but Eric Spoelstra's a hell of a coach. So that's why I just say that's the one thing that I don't know if it was opportunity, like you said, or willingness. I don't know. Did he ever give the guy an opportunity?
David Blatt's the one guy when people say Coach Co and all that. David Blatt's the one guy who got the short end. Other coaches that can be like, he performed bad, he did this. Like, there's certain things I can point to. Him and Frank Vogel. I think Frank Vogel got a short end of the stick too, because AD got injured that second season.
Yeah.
Right? So him.
No, I feel like after they won the chip, I blame the GM. That Laker team should have kept everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
That was a huge mistake because they all wanted to come back. It's not like they wanted to go, but they wanted to go.
I think they could have ran it back too. I think they could have ran it back.
And because of all of the things that have happened throughout the years, like, let's not forget, guys, you know why Darvin Ham was the coach?
Was he coach?
Do you know why he's the coach of the Lakers last year? Or when he got
hired?
Yeah.
He had a good rapport with LeBron, or no?
Do you remember the search? No one else wanted it.
That Laker job.
No one wanted it. They offered it to guys and they're like, nah, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because of the perception. I'm not saying it's true, because of the perception that he's just gonna treat like he treated Darvin Ham, right? He's drawing up a play and like he's like, yeah, anyways, okay, so he's over here, right?
I hear you.
Where were we? So LeBron to Washington. Take him to the playoffs. You're the goal. All right. Let's talk about the finals, and then we have one other topic. We're gonna do a little. Stay tuned. A little WNBA conversation. Who do you got? What do you see happening in the finals? Because honestly, if both 3-0, no team has ever come back from 3-0. I don't expect Indiana or Minnesota at this point to come back. So,
I want Mavs to win. I want Luka to get that ring. Kyrie to get a second. I'm rooting for the Mavs. I think Boston's a more well-rounded team. If Porzingis is healthy, I think it's Boston in 6 or 5. 6. I'll give 6. Without Porzingis, I could see Mavs in 7. I'm gonna pick Mavs in 7 with no Porzingis.
I'm gonna stick to what's been working for Dallas this whole playoffs. So I'm gonna pick against them, and I'm gonna pick Boston for this simple fact. They were there last year.
That they were.
And they know now what to expect. And if Tatum is ever going to be taken seriously, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this right now. And I want you to mark it. Sunday, May 26th, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Whoever wins this NBA final, okay, Boston or Dallas, their star player, so Luka or Tatum, will be, barring injury, will be MVP next year.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. I think it's going to be Luka regardless, but I hear you.
I think the narrative for MVP is so strong. I called Jokic. I called Embiid. I called Giannis. I'm telling you, whoever their whole thing now is going to be, because numbers are all going to be great. The teams are going to win a bunch of games, right? And the narrative is, I think, the deciding factor. And I think Boston, big U.S. basketball market, Tatum, American-born player. All we've had over the last few years has been Euro big men. And yes, I'm calling Giannis a Euro big man. And the last thing they want to do is another Euro 6'10" white dude. I'm telling you, Tatum is if Boston wins, Tatum is winning the MVP next year.
I still think Anthony Edwards will be the American guy they want to push, because it seems like basketball culture
after this series.
I mean, even if he loses, but he does have a little bit of the like the he's one of us, Allen Iverson trait to him. Like, people really kind of gravitate to him, right?
No, I said Minnesota goes to the NBA final, he's the face of the league. This has put a on that.
I do think the NBA, maybe they might do not a one face of the league. They might just do like a group thing.
Oh,
I don't know. The more marketing, the way they do it. Because I don't even know, like, the whole pushing LeBron as the face for this long, even though, like, LeBron guy, I think he's a GOAT, my guy. I don't know if that was best for business. I don't know if
No, it was
Mm-hmm.
the issue is always not being able to let go,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Like Jordan kind of forced them to let go of Bird and Magic, injuries, HIV, like there's a lot of
Yeah,
reasons. They kind of, but he kind of forced the issue.
mm-hmm.
Much now. Kobe was difficult because of the off the court stuff. I think LeBron, same thing, forced the issue. Look, I'm better than everybody else. You have to do that. Now the problem is, I don't think LeBron became the face until he became the villain, which is a good and a bad thing.
I think he was still the face when he was loved in Cleveland that first go around. I think he's been the face ever since their first finals run.
In 07, you think he was the face of the league?
100%. I think he was pushed face of the league 100%. I think he was so loved doing the whole camera thing with his teammates. Everyone loved LeBron James. His game was exciting, fishing on top of the rim, all that. And
I
then
think
he became very polarizing.
I
When he
think
went to
young people liked him.
I mean, maybe I was young, maybe.
I think the NBA exec and older fans did not, because I'll tell you right now, I remember everybody saying, "What is he doing? Why can't he take this seriously?" That's why he's never going to win a chip, is because he's not taking the game seriously. He's taking pictures, he's pretending to bowl and knocking over all the guys, and he's out there to have fun. He's not there to win.
Maybe it was a young old thing.
And so I think the younger guys loved it, but I think
he was in the most commercials at that time too. Like he was a guy because Kobe had a situation.
Right.
Duncan was never really a commercial guy.
Yeah, he's not.
You know, KG, yeah, but LeBron,
yeah. From that perspective,
yeah.
But I think like truly he took over that mantle. I think 10, 11, because again, don't forget the game matters. So 07, he goes to the finals. Yes, Larry Hughes is injured, but he doesn't play well. They get swept. 09, they're the number 1 seed in the NBA. Doesn't make the final. Right, and everyone's saying, "Oh, the matchup against Kobe, the matchup against Kobe." Doesn't happen. 10, they're the number 1 seed again in the NBA. Doesn't make the finals. So there, it's casual fans still probably love the fun and the excitement and the above the rim play, but NBA guys are like, dude, this guy's just again not taking it seriously. You can't win that way. And then he makes the decision, and now everybody hates him. But then he goes on this 8 finals run after that. So it's like he forced it. Is my point. And I think now you got to force him to let go, because when you have a league that you have Ant and Tatum and SGA and Luka and Giannis, and I'm sure I'm missing Jokic. I'm sure I'm missing guys, but you probably have 5 to 8 players that you can really kind of, hey, look at all of this talent. I think you're right. I think that's what they should do. So let me stick to my guns again. So I'm picking Boston. I'm whether that Porzingis is healthy or not. I'm going Boston in 6. I think the Cinderella 5 seed Mavericks are much better. Excuse me, they're much better than the 5 seed, right? Like if you look at what they did after the trade, this is a completely different team that started and had to kind of make up all that ground to finish 5th. Like I think if this team was together the whole season, they were a top 3 seed. So I'm going to stick with Boston. So yeah, Boston in 6. I'm going to stick with it. It's Tatum's coronation party. Yeah, I was saying because I think they've been there before, so they know what to expect. Now, Holiday won one, right? It's not like he's new to it. Porzingis is the only, but of their 3 I think their 3 main guys really are Holiday because of his offense and obviously his defense more, and then Brown and Tatum. Holiday's won one. Tatum and Brown were just there last year, and it's not like Holiday won 10 years ago. Like it was only a couple of years ago that the Bucks won. So I think they know what to expect, and I think although Kyrie hasn't been there since 2016.
Been a while. He made a few finals in a row. He made a few. Yeah.
But it's been 8 years since he's been there. Luka obviously he's never been there, although I'm not worried about him. But a guy like
I'm not worried about Kyrie either, though.
Yeah, I'm not worried either. I'm saying, but he has been there, but it's been a while. Luka's never been there, but I'm not worried. But Lively's never been there. Gafford, these other guys that they're going to need to step up.
Al Horford might have another 7 3-pointer game. He might have another game where he drops 7 3-pointers.
The Dominican Dirk, maybe.
Yeah. And of all the guys, like he's one of those guys I'd be happy if he won a ring. Al Horford, all those years in Atlanta doing his thing. He goes away with the ring. I'd be all right.
Yeah, there's certain guys who put in their time. You're like, I hope he gets it. Yeah, he's one of them for sure. So I got Boston. We both really have Boston, right? If healthy.
Like my heart wants Mavs, My brain's telling me Boston.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll never hear the end of it from my son and my wife if the Dallas, because they've been telling me all season this is Dallas. Luca's winning it. They've been saying it all year,
Hey,
and I'm like,
let's see it.
hell no,
Luca's
hell no.
world, baby.
Yeah,
Luca's world.
he's the best player in the league. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, and I'm just like, I don't want them to. They can't be right. They can't be right, because then they'll look at me at the we're eating breakfast and they're like, now you're more fluent.
Hey, Luca.
I hate that. I hate when they do.
Now you're more fluent.
Yeah, I know.
Hey.
Even little misfluents telling me I'm more fluent. Okay. We've got about 20 minutes left. I want to talk about two things WNBA related. One, just quickly, Toronto got a team. I'm going to call them Toronto Huskies until they say something different. I've put in for my season tickets. Have you? How excited are you about the pterodactyls? I don't know what they're going to call themselves.
Yeah,
The pterodactyls.
look, I think the growth of WNBA, nice to see coming to Toronto, solid. Hopefully Toronto supports them. Am I getting season tickets? Season tickets are always just tough. It's a lot of time too. Like I never know the schedule, this and that. So I'll definitely go to a few games. But
you buy the season tickets, and any games you can't go to or don't want to go to, you sell them.
So yeah, like I have a cousin. He's a mortgage broker, so he takes like his clients out or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
People like that. Yeah, but I mean, hey, all the power to you. But I know it's a wait for the Raptors. Like he waited like 4 years, and then
you're not going to get. But if you know what they should do, I don't think they're going to have an issue getting season ticket buyers. But what they should do is, if you are a WNBA season ticket holder, you get like first dibs on Raptor tickets or Leaf tickets. It's all MLSE.
Oh, hey. I was gonna say MLSE owns this one too, right?
Yeah. I think it's Larry Tannenbaum. I don't think it might.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be him by himself. But that being said, whatever, we can figure it out. Speaking of WNBA, I threw their logo up there because that's what we're talking about right now. And then obviously go to fluent.printify.me, get some crazy merch. I want to specifically point out Call Your Mother. That's my favorite one. That's one of the chill isms. Obviously, there's your Fluent and Chill shirt. And then this one is probably your favorite. It's a hoodie that says Choice of Players. Just because, all the players who choose us to come on our show, we get chosen. So
the players.
We're the choice of players. Are you gonna hit? You're gonna hit up some games?
Yeah, definitely hit up some games.
I have a friend that actually might be. We're this close. I don't want to jinx it and say anything, but they're possibly going to be the voice, like doing the commentary, the play-by-play of the WNBA team. So I'm very excited about that. If he happens to get this job, would you honor the people of Toronto and sing the national anthem?
Hey, give it to me. No, I'll do it. He gets his job.
Would you do it?
Yeah, we'll sing the national anthem.
All right. Do you know? Because you have to sing both.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? The American national anthem is actually more of a singer's song. You can just do more with it, just because the crescendos and like the way that song is made, you can really sing that song. Well, the Canadian national anthem is very, it's kind of at the same level throughout. While the American,
and would you do the Canadian one all in English?
Yeah, of course. I can't do it.
Because there's one that goes English, French, French.
I can't do no French like that.
There's one that actually is indigenous, and actually I heard one before Leafs game that was in Punjabi, which was weird because I didn't understand any of the words, and I didn't understand why it was in Punjabi because we're English and French. But
was it a Punjabi night or something? Yeah, I'd assume.
Maybe it actually didn't sound pretty good. So, are you suggesting we change the anthem and make it more of a singer's?
I mean, I don't know about changing a country's anthem. That's always a difficult one. But honestly, like after high school, we kind of stopped. Like, remember in middle school, high school, you have to sing the national anthem stand up every morning. But after that, can't remember the last time I really had to sing the entire national anthem. Not like you know what I mean? Like it's not a thing. Like, when's the last time you had to sing the entire national anthem? Unless it's at a game, I guess.
I didn't have to sing, but my son had a Taekwondo tournament on Saturday, and they played it. But actually, they played both the U.S. and the Canadian one right before. And I always wondered. Let me ask you this question, then I'll tell you how I feel. How do you feel about the anthems being played before games?
I mean, it's like a respect to the country or the people that defend the country, the military. I mean, I'm cool with it.
Why they started playing it before sporting events?
It's supposed to respect towards country. I don't know. Yeah, I never went there. Why did they?
During World War I is a U.S. thing.
Yeah.
In World War I, now, sorry, let me go back. The Olympics has always played the anthem of the gold medalist, the winner, because it's a world event. That makes sense because there's a bunch of countries there. The U.S. did it because during World War I, a bunch of athletes were obviously had been drafted in, and they were fighting a war, and so to honor the men and women who played in the league who were over there fighting for their country, they played the national anthem. For me, well, once that war ended, or okay, fine, then there was another war, fine. Once that war ended, there's absolutely no reason to play the anthem before a game. None.
I see your point. I mean, I see your point.
I'm sorry, and this is no disrespect to any of the people who serve our countries, and I support them wholeheartedly. But I go to a game to play a game. Like I go to the game to watch a game. So let's go to the game. There's so much other stuff. The games already take forever.
That's true.
They're so long. I'm just like, dude, the game, like the NBA. Do me a favor this week, because I'm going to ask you this next Sunday.
Okay.
There's not enough. The problem is there's not enough basketball games, but look at what it says the start time is.
Oh, when it actually starts.
Versus when it actually starts.
Yeah.
They never, ever start on time. Like, I mean, it starts at 8:32. They're tipping it off. I'm like, dude. And it's not just the anthem's fault. It's just a million of.
Yeah, it's a lie. Yeah, it's a lie.
Tip off is at 8. Figure it out. Tip off is at 8. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so WNBA in Toronto. I'm super excited about that. Caitlin Clark is now in the WNBA.
She is. She got motion.
Big, huge, stuff about what had happened in the NCAA tournament. People saying she's the GOAT. I never said she. I didn't.
I don't know about the GOAT. Yeah.
GOAT. But she's definitely one of the greatest. Like I think she has 45 NCAA records, including most points ever scored by an NCAA. And let me be clear, by an NCAA player. And I think second all time in assists. And I clarify the NCAA because there was something else, AIWA. There's a different college league. It was like Division 3 or something there, where Pearl Monroe, I want to say her name was, scored more points.
Okay.
But it wasn't until I think 1972 that the NCAA took over kind of women's college basketball. So that's why it's very clear when they say the NCAA all-time leader is Caitlin Clark because of Pearl Monroe. Then there's the other one, Lynette Woodward, who said, well, it doesn't count because I didn't have 3-pointers in my league. But we all know that's nonsense. Too bad. There's 3-pointers now. Your record is broken. Have a nice day. And here's the funny part, because I did get into a debate with someone who said, Caitlin Clark is third. And I said, why is she third? And he goes, because have you never heard of Woodward and Monroe? And I said, I have. I go, have you? And he goes, they scored more points. And I said, no, they didn't. I said, Caitlin Clark passed Woodward. That's how she got the record. And he was like, no. Okay, well, what about this other one? I said, well, that's why we say it's the NCAA record, because she didn't play in it. She played in the AIWA, whatever the hell it was. I go, so it's not an NCAA record. And I said, let me ask you a question. And I'll say, okay. Show me one tweet, because it's always Twitter. Show me one, or X, whatever, where you were saying that Lynette Woodward isn't the all-time leading scorer in the NCAA. Pearl Monroe is, because she scored more points. And the answer is, well, we never did that. Why not? Well, because it was 2 different leagues. So why is it was 2 different leagues then, but now it isn't? So there's a lot of stuff about her coming in. And I always said, and I said this to you before, right? We had the conversation about money, and we'll talk about money in a second, where I said, I don't know why anyone is disrespecting this person, because of her, you're going to get the TV deals and the revenues, and you can see it. They're selling out. They're having to move to bigger arenas because they're selling so many tickets.
They have more games than the Lakers. I mean, they have more people in the arena than the Lakers. That LA, the Sparks, Sparks versus Indiana game. They had more people.
And they stink. Just
FYI, their bats are so bad. Yeah, which is understandable. The reason you're the first overall pick, you go to a really bad team.
No, but they have no talent, and they're like, watch, they're really, really poorly coached. And like, like people always say, oh, welcome to the WNBA, when she was going and she got that screen and she got flattened. Yeah. Dude, I watched that replay over and over again, and like her teammates, their heads are turned away from her. None of them are like, hey, screen left, like that's what I get it, your head has to be on a swivel, but that's what your team is there for. They're supposed to be calling that out so you're aware of it, so that doesn't happen. So just bad all around. How do you feel about this? Because I'll tell you how I feel in a second, but I want to know your take on like her getting so much hate. LeBron has come out and said they're being petty. Charles Barkley has come out and said they're being petty. And people keep saying, well, that's how they treat all players when they come into the league.
Which is not true at all. They definitely haven't treated Caitlin Clark the way other stars, let's say Sabrina Yuska, when she came in, she got a little bit of hype too. She got
a lot of hype. I don't know
why. She got a lot of hype. Yeah, she got a lot of hype too. Not this level of hype, but yeah, she got a lot of hype. They weren't treating her like this. They were saying, come in, you're going to do great, this and that. I just think the level of hype that she was getting and the fame given to us so early. I understand a lot of vets, right? Let's say you're a vet in the WNBA. You've put in 10 solid years, day in, day out, grinding away. You're playing overseas too. Then this kid comes walking in, out of college, first year, getting all the endorsement money, lights, camera, action, sell down arenas, all that. I understand. Like I might be a little jealous too. I'm like, I put in all this work. You guys are showing me love. Okay, now let me get on the court and hit her with one of these or play a little tougher defense just to kind of show them up. I understand why they're doing it. It's definitely a lot of hate going on, pettiness, jealousy, 100%. But also the coach came out, Becky Hammond, right? She came out and made a statement saying, we're not hating on her. We're just, we love Caitlin Clark. We love her. We want her to succeed. They're just, and what's her star player, Asia, right? The best player in the league.
Asia Wilson,
best player in the league. Understandably, do I think she's going to come out and say, Caitlin Clark's the best player in the league, she's going to dominate? No, that's not what best players in the league say. No. You know what I mean? She's going to be like, she's a great player. She'll be solid. But look, the hate stuff, I think they should be more appreciative or thankful for it, or acknowledge, or maybe I don't even know if they need to be vocal about it. Maybe just do the action or something, just acknowledge it or appreciate it for sure. Just kind of lay off it's more than just Caitlin. And don't get me wrong, Angel Reese, she's bringing in numbers too. There's games where she goes, so she's bringing numbers too. She's kind of a known commodity too. Obviously not as big as Caitlin Clark, but I'll give her credit too. She's definitely bringing in some numbers, doing her thing. So shout out her.
Yeah, but
people do have to acknowledge it. Caitlin Clark is the most of it.
I have an issue with Angel Reese.
Okay.
My issue with Angel Reese is that, she's Halliburton.
Okay.
Because when you're winning, you're chirping. When you lose, the world is against me. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, everybody hates me. Oh, I'm depressed. I beat the Aces. Yo, undefeated doesn't matter. Like, no. Yeah, bring it.
Card.
Because of all the criticism on Caitlin Clark. Hey, what do I expect when she got knocked out the other day, like knocked down on a box out? And she's like, yeah, that's what you expect. I'm in the league. I'm not expecting special treatment. That's a shot at Caitlin Clark. Like, but you can't be vocal, show off, chirping, and then when it doesn't go your way, oh, the world is so hard. No, be one way or the other, no problem. Like Halliburton.
And if you rock with Caitlin Clark and say this, and you're against Angel Reese, you're suddenly a racist. I'm just saying they'll say that too, right? That card gets played, right? Like, okay, what are you gonna do? I remember I saying that too. I said the reason why AJ Wilson got a shoe deal was because honestly, Caitlin Clark brought the numbers. She's a big part of the reason why AJ got a shoe deal. AJ's a great player, but I don't think she gets that shoe deal without Caitlin Clark because Nike just understands women.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see who buys them. We'll see who buys
them. That's what I'm saying. I'm waiting for those numbers to come out because I was called crazy names. Oh, you want to discredit?
Listen. The whole racist thing is so lazy because here's the reality. Here's the reality. The U.S. is a market that's 60% white.
100%.
It's democracy. So what do you expect? I don't understand. What do you expect? So the thing is, though, again, I don't even care about any of that. My point is like Halliburton, right? He walks into the game, quiet, nothing. Comes out of the game with a shirt that shows Reggie. You know what? Walk into the game with that shirt. Walk into the game with that shirt. Then we're talking. As far as Clark's concerned, I don't expect them to take it easy on her. I don't expect her even for them to praise her and pat her on the back and say, hey, thanks. But I remember, and again, maybe this is me. I remember when the NBA was on the verge of bankruptcy, and very similar dynamic happened where two kids out of college who had battled in college didn't like each other. One was black, one was white. One went to Boston, one went to LA, and they started to collide in the NBA, and everyone was like, "Yo, we're not going to bend to them and crown them, but at the same time, we're going to let this thing play out because they're bringing eyes to the game, which means they're going to eyes means dollars. So if they're bringing eyes to the league, that means they're bringing dollars. That means we're all going to, listen, everybody hated when Magic eventually signed a 25-year deal. Like everyone thought it was nuts. 25 years, 25 million. $1 million a year? Are you crazy? Right? Those are the best things that ever happened to them. Facts. Now Jordan comes into the league, I don't know if you know this or not, because it was very similar to when LeBron came into the league. I don't know if you remember, like Darius Miles. Yeah, he can jump on our squad, and we don't need him, but he just play. Jump in and know your
Boozer and all them. Yep.
Yeah, and Carlos Boozer. Yeah, he's not going to be anything. He's too young. Jordan had the same thing. Oh, he's too little. He's a guard. What's he gonna? This is a big man's league. So what's a 6'6", 200-pound guard can do? Get out of here. They treated them poorly, but it's because the first thing of eyeballs / dollar signs had already happened. This is your eyeball dollar sign moment. Anyone. So again, play tough. Don't back down from her. But the people who are hoping and wishing and praying for her to fail.
Yeah, that's weird.
So counterproductive, right? Like, no offense, Diana Taurasi, but like you want her to do well. And I guess maybe it's too late for you, so maybe that's why you're bitter, but you want her to do well because in 2025, when they get that new TV deal and your salaries go from $7 to 700,000 to 7 million, whatever it is.
She's upset because she's going to miss that contract, which I get. Look, I get it. If I'm missing out on $1 million and I've only made $75K a year for the past 20 years, I get why she'd be a little upset.
Then I understand being upset. Yeah. But that's the thing is for everybody else. Like, again, I'm not saying crown her and bow to her feet. No, dude, play tough, try to beat her. But to pray for someone's downfall and be like, that stuff is.
What did I do with the Olympic thing? I think you have to put her on the team. You have to put her on the team. But some people say she doesn't deserve a spot.
Here, let me just say this. Yep. I don't know if you know this. Do you know the average superstar WNBA rookie scores less than she's doing, has less assists than she has? No one has ever come into the league and been top 5 in scoring, I think, and top 10 in assists. Like, so for people who are saying she's failing,
yeah, it's crazy.
I hate false narratives. I hate false narratives. So let me answer your question. Yeah, I think, I don't know, is she a top 12 American player? I would say yes.
I would say yes too. Yeah,
I would say yes. So if she is, put her on the team. If she's not, don't.
I think the position thing. Does she play? To me, I think it's time Diana take a step back and let some of these young guys play. She has 5 gold medals, I think. Insane.
Yeah, it's probably
5. Time. It's like, probably time. Especially for, again, if you don't put Caitlin Clark on that team, you're just doing a disservice to the growth of the game, and even basketball wise too. I just think she's good enough to play too, but it'll be interesting.
I think she's a top. I don't know how many they take, 12 or 15, but I would say she's probably a top 12 or 15 American player. So they should. If she, again, I don't care if she is top 12 or 15, put her on the team. If she's not, don't. That's fine.
Cameron Brink getting a lot of love too. Cameron Brink.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't want to disrespect her saying beautiful girl. I don't want to. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
very pretty. Yes, tall. Yeah.
Did you see her standing next to Kevin Hart?
Yes. Yeah. That is crazy. It's crazy. I saw her standing next to Mark Cuban. Maybe Mark Cuban looks small too, but she's 6'4". Like Mark Cuban looks like he's like 5'6" in that photo. It's weird.
She's only 6'4".
Yeah, so I'm saying, right. Cameron Brink's only 6'4".
Oh man, she just looks significant.
Yeah, tall, 100%.
She looks significantly taller. She's probably because she's long and lean, right? Yeah. Like when I was skinnier, I looked taller. Now,
feel like that.
It changes. But so back to the consistency thing, or no, the narrative thing. So there's this narrative to stop, right? Like the whole, like people are having these conversations, and I'm going to have one. Listen, there's a guy who has a new show called Sources Chilling. It's a hip hop show. coming to the Sports Fluent Network. And he and I are going to have this conversation because he's like, one of the things that he and I have, and we normally agree, but we really disagree on this. He's like, Eminem, if he wasn't white, no one would ever have heard his name. Caitlin Clark, if she wasn't white, no one would have ever heard of this person. Crazy. And I'm like, I think that's nuts. I think that's insane to say to me, because Eminem, for example, and I flipped it back on him, and we're going to go deeper into it, so I don't want to do it today, but I said, because he's saying, well, no one should put him in the GOAT debate. I don't have him as the GOAT, but I'll say this. If you had the number one selling rap artist of all time was whoever, and they were black, you'd say there's an argument that they're the GOAT, even though record sales don't make you the best.
Yeah, it's a factor. It's a reason.
It still puts you into the conversation. Exactly. And so I say, well, and he goes, well, it only puts him into the conversation because of, and I said, yeah, guess who buys rap music in America?
A lot of African Americans, white people, to everyone. I mean,
it is your country is 60%. Again, I'll say it again. That's the majority. So if you're going to sell a lot, it's going to, right? And then Caitlin Clark, I said, let me ask you again the question: if it was Angel Reese, who was number one, broke the NCAA record for all-time scoring, was number 2 in all-time assists, had 45 NCAA records, would there be any issue with people saying she might be one of the one of the greatest of all time? Why would that be an issue? No one would ever say it. So it's actually working the opposite way, where it's like, oh, they can't be, because no, you can be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. So on that narrative thing, and this is the last. I know we're going to go over time. I don't care. I'm in this heated debate on TikTok, and I want your opinion, because it's about shot chuckers.
Okay.
So there is a faction of the world, and they've decided that if you shoot more than 20 field goal attempts per game for your career, you're a shot chucker. And I said, why did you pick 20? Why is it 20? Why isn't it 25? Why isn't it 15? Why isn't it 19? And I couldn't get a straight answer. And then I realized what the answer really was. LeBron James averages 19.6 shots per game.
And Kobe and Jordan probably average more.
No, Kobe averages less shots per game.
Interesting.
Than LeBron. And I brought that up, and I said, how come you don't use that same logic? Because you call Kobe a shot chucker. Oh, because in Kobe's prime, his prime years, he shot more than 20 per game. And I, of course, being me, because I make people more fluent, I said, cool. So was LeBron James a shot chucker when he started his career? And they're like, no, he's past first. And I said, really? Because his first 10 years in the NBA, he averaged 20 plus shots per game. Not including this year. The previous 6 years of LeBron's career total, he has averaged more than 20 shots per game. So I said, so does that mean in his first 10 years or his last 6 years, 16 out of his 21, he's averaged more than 20? Because if you're saying Kobe in his prime, 16 out of his 21 years, he's averaged more than 20 shots per game. Combined, again, not each individual season. If you just take those 2 chunks of years. No, that's different, because he gets a lot of assists. So if you get a lot of assists, you're allowed to shoot over 20 a game? Yep. I said, cool.
It's a lot of goalpost movement here.
It's a lot of goalposts. I said, okay, cool. So I said in 88, Jordan averaged 22 field goal attempts per game. Was he a shot chucker? They said, yep, because he averaged more than 20 a game. I said, but he averaged 8 assists. Oh, that's just one season. It doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, it sounds like really. I don't know why you give these conversations the time of your day, but hey,
sometimes I get stuck. I get into these rabbit holes and I start going down them. And I said, okay, let me ask you this, because now I'm going to show you that I know way more about basketball than you do. I said, what about Joe Folks? And he said, and they were like, who the hell's Joe Folks? I said, cool. I said, well, he averaged 19.1 field goal attempts for his career. Was he a shot chucker? And they're like, no, because it was 9. It was 40s, 50s.
40s.
He was the first ever all-time leading scorer in the NBA. And they said, no, he's not a shot chucker because it's 19.1. Right? It's less than LeBron's 19.6, so he can't be a shot chucker. I said, Joe Folks is the biggest shot chucker in the history of the NBA because not only did he shoot 19.1 attempts per game, he averaged 30% from the field. If that's not the definition of a shot chucker, like he has the record, I think, for most field goal attempts in a game ever. And he played when they didn't have a shot clock. Just think about that. And they were like, So my question, after all of that background knowledge, is, what do you consider a shot chucker?
Yeah, so let's try to use all that information and address it right. So I think the whole 20 shot number is just flawed because different eras have different paces, possessions per game. 20 shots in 2001 is very different than 20 shots today or in the 70s, 80s, right? So that whole 20 shot thing, I definitely don't agree with. When I think of a shot chucker, I think guys, if I cut off my head, a Monte Ellis, maybe a Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, someone who is maybe predominantly just used as a scorer, not the most efficient. But I also think sometimes though people will get confused about people taking a lot of shots, but they're forced to because of their situation, right? So like Kobe in 06, you could class him as a shot chucker. I think he took 25, 26, some insane amount of shots. Like I said, he was playing next to Smush Parker and these guys. There's a reason why he took so many shots. He had to. Right. And people have to understand it's not easy taking 25 shots in an NBA game. No scrub is taking 25 shots. To create 25 opportunities for you to even get up a shot is impressive in itself. I don't think people realize not anyone can just take 20 shots in the game. You have to create those shots for yourself. A lot of cases. So there's a whole thing of that. But yeah, when I think of shot checker, I think of guys who are inefficient scorers for the totality of their career, but also some exceptions like Allen Iverson, a popular one. People say shot chucker. I mean, I think he was more of a shot chucker in Denver than he was in Philadelphia, even though I believe he took more shots in Philadelphia, because in Denver, I think he had more pieces around him where he could have taken less shots, even though I think he was fine, while in Philadelphia, he was kind of forced to. Exactly, right? Yeah, so there's a lot of nuance in this, a lot of situations, but when I think of shot chucker, again, the guy I'm thinking of names, Monte Ellis, Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford type of guys.
Yeah, I look at it as, again, like I do everything holistically. A shot chucker is someone who takes more shot. There's no number. It's more shots than they should with a very low efficiency, right? So Allen Iverson's a great example. Allen Iverson shot a low percentage, but the whole offense, Larry Brown was like, hey, Allen Iverson, go create, get a shot. We've got Theo Ratliff, Mutombo, like we've got these guys, their job is to rebound it and either get a put back dunk, a layup, whatever, or kick it back out to you. That's our offense. Kobe and Jordan, interestingly enough, what people don't understand is how well do you know the triangle offense?
I don't more than like 60% of it. Like I know the base of it and all of it, but I'm not.
So then you'll understand what I'm going to say. Then I won't have to explain it. So it's a read and react offense, right? So it's brought up, read and react. It's actually meant to get a good shot for the center. Just for those that don't know, it's actually a center-oriented offense. So you read and react, so you make your cuts and screens based off where the ball is and how the defense reacts. Hence the read and react. We read what the defense is doing and we react to it. Do you know what happens at about 4 seconds left on the shot clock?
You're forced to take a shot. You stop.
Get it to Kobe or Jordan. Take a shot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Get your star guy.
Literally, and so what happens is, if nothing comes up easy, because it's meant to get easy. Like when people say, "Wow, there's no defense. Look how wide open they are." Yeah, that's what this offense was built to do, was to make people move and read and react so much that there's always someone's going to make a mistake. 10 seconds into any shot clock, if you're moving constantly, I tell my kids this that I coach. If you keep moving, trust me, the other team will make a defensive mistake, and your job is to see it, pass it to that open person for an open shot. So that's what they would do. And so that's why it looked like they were open all the time and they were shooting. But then it would go to Kobe or Mike, and it's like, hey, we couldn't do anything here. Okay, well, now you got 4 seconds left, right? It's 4, 3, 2. Okay, I got to shoot. And so they put up a lot of shots that weren't great. But Jordan, as an example, 50% pretty much for his career.
Solid.
How can you call a guy who hits 50% of his shots a shot chucker when you know, by the way, his 3-point shooting was bad? If you take away those, which look, he was shooting 1 a game, take that out, and he's well over 50%, especially if you take out Washington. But you got to count that he played in Washington. But if you take out Washington, he's over 50%. I don't know if you know this. In Jordan's 10 scoring titles, in the years, only seven of the 10, he took the most field goal attempts per game. In those years that he was the number one, of the 7, 5 times, listen to this, he shot 52%. The second place, so the person who took the second most shots in the league, was at 46%. Who would you want taking more shots?
Who was that? Who did take this? Who did take the most shots in the league?
When?
In like the 80, when you mentioned, was that 80?
So in his 10 scoring titles, Jordan,
yeah,
Dominique Wilkins,
Dominique, okay, yeah, I can see
Alex English, then Jordan again, then Bernard King, and then Jordan for the last 5. But in those 5, with the exception of Hakeem Olajuwon in 96, who shot 51% to Jordan's 49. Well, yeah, he's a center.
He's a center. He's Hakeem too.
Yeah. It's him to the second place, like most field goal attempts. He shoots. I told you, actually, it's 51.9. Probably should have rounded that up to 52. So it's 52 to 46, 49.5 to 46, 48.5 to 41, 46.5 to 42. So, dude, if anything, the guy who finished in second in field goal attempts was the shot chucker, because he's shooting what, 4, 5, 6% lower from 100%, the field.
100%, yeah.
So if your guy's hitting 50% of his shots, what do you want him to do? Give the ball to somebody else? He's also, by the way, in 88, I want to say he's in the top 3 every year for the Bulls, highest field goal shooting percentage. But if you take away centers who shot within 3 feet and take away guys who shot once a game, right? And like of the volume scorers, he's first on his team every year in field goal percent. Well, who do you want shooting the ball? The guy who can't or the guy who can?
Yeah, I never understood. Like, calling Jordan a shot chucker is just ridiculous. And I'm a LeBron guy, so I mean, you can say Jordan a lot of shot chucker is crazy. You can say he's a lot of things, but he's definitely not a shot chucker. He attacks the rim well, great mid range. Shot chucker and Jordan don't go together. So.
Seems odd, right? Okay, so I'm not crazy. All right. Before we say goodnight, any final thoughts? Any concerts coming up? Anything you want to plug? Where can they find you? I know that you're what's that show? Off the
logo. From the logo.
From the logo.
Yes, sir. From the logo. Catch you there on Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays. Other than that, it's follow Jalen Carter Music. Good day. I'm ready for the Luka Doncic best in the world talks, his peak talks, like what he's done these past 3 years.
By next week, we might have a finals game.
Right, might have a finals game. So I'm excited for the Luka conversations to be had. What about you, Fluent? What you got for the people?
Did you see me at the Raptors game shooting and making it from the logo?
I saw that clip.
It's interesting that you never asked me to be a guest on From the Logo when I'm the only one probably on the panel that's hit one from an NBA.
I mean, you're a busy man. It's hard, but hey, you're welcome anytime.
That is true. That is true. I'm very busy. Heartbreaking loss over the weekend. My son's baseball team lost by 1 run. 12-11. They were down 10-1. And they came back.
Down 10-1. They came back.
And lost by 1. Heartbreaking. No, other than that, no, come check us out. I know. Tuesday. Fluent and Chill. Haley is no longer on the show. She's got a job. It's a good thing. Okay. She got a job that's going to keep her. So we are potentially interviewing a new host for the show to take Haley's spot. So you never know who might.
Shout out Haley.
Shout out to Haley. We're gonna have some guest hosts come on. We were gonna get Larry, and then Richard Jefferson started a whole show with Larry, so we can't do that. we reached out to. There's a couple other people who like big names. No joke. But the timing, we can't move it to the day because of my schedule. Because we had a really good one. But so anyway, so we're open. We're open. I think we like giving new people a shot, so we might take a look at that. But other than that, that's it. I got Celtics in 6. I've also got both of these series. I got sweeps. I don't think either team wins a game.
Yeah, I got a sweep too. Game 4, Dallas takes care of it. Boston takes care of it.
All right. In that case, man, maybe hopefully we're gonna start talking. Oh, we should probably do some Raptors draft stuff.
Yeah, Raptors draft stuff. Solid.
We'll start doing that over the summer. So until next week, we out.